Most of the time when you're evaluating any of these capital projects, you're going to have to take it to a board. And the board's going to ask you, what is my return on investment? How fast is it going to take me to return back the investment that we placed on this capital equipment? And it's a fair question. It's the right question to ask, because if something isn't making you money, why do it? Particularly in manufacturing. But what I always like to say is that comprehensive return on investment analysis is like a three-legged stool. If you don't have all three legs on there, then you're probably not going to get a full picture. The three legs that I like to look at is cost reduction, opportunity cost, so what can you capture if you can increase productivity, and the third one is quality improvement. The three of them stand alone, but the three of them are important to take into context together for a full return on investment analysis. What are the things that most people base their ROI on? And most of the time they base their ROI specifically on the cost reduction aspects of it. But even in the cost reduction area of return on investment, they don't often look at it in the appropriate or take into account the full scope of what that cost reduction is. What's been shocking to me is that the labor savings is a component of it, but the things that you don't think about as far as the consumables, the wire, the gas, those things add up significantly. It could almost be that throughout the year that you save more in the consumable portions than you actually do in the labor. So it's important on the ROI statement to fully encompass that. And we use a spreadsheet. We've got tools that we can take and say, what's your labor cost, what's your gas cost, what's your wire cost, and then analyze the weld process that we would do robotically against what you're currently doing, and we can find that there's usually some fairly significant cost reductions that they aren't even taking into account. And rightfully so. In a manual process, it's extremely variable. It's really hard to nail that down. With a robot, with repeatable process, you do have those capabilities to really dial in on those consumables for cost reduction. But the other two people usually don't take into account at all in an ROI analysis. The ROI is a three-legged stool. So if you're just taking one piece into account, a lot of times you don't capture the full return on investment, and so you miss out on the kind of the big picture of what automation will do for you. But quality improvement is huge. Some companies look at, well, we have a specific scrap rate and we're just used to that scrap rate. Other companies, it may be that their quality is actually holding them back from the next level of customer. We're working with clients currently where the things that they're trying to do is write manually that part distorts underneath of the weld process. What we can do is take some of that distortion out, improve the first pass yield so they don't have to rework it. So reduction of the rework cost, and that could be cleaning up weld spatter, grinding welds, cutting and re-welding, but it's important to say how much time post-weld is used to prep due to inconsistent weld quality. And then the third one, as far as your opportunity cost, what people often don't do, because you want to be conservative, right? You want to get this to the board and you want to say, I want to underpromise, overdeliver. So, they don't take into account the fact that if we double production, that provides an opportunity to either put more product through, redistribute the people that were working on it 50%, selling twice as much. If you don't take into account the fact that if you can free up all of this labor, or you can create more parts, or you can become more productive, or you can reduce the cost of your parts and open larger markets, that often is where projects pay for themselves in months or weeks as opposed to years that could be on the initial ROI analysis.